So in a previous video I talked a bit about how to develop a character, but that was talking about how to develop a main character, a major character or a point of view character, something like that. Today I want to show you a bit about how I develop a minor character, someone who just walks into the story and then walks out again. They deliver their important bit of information and then they vanish. But you've still got to make those characters, you've got to make them feel as real as possible without slowing down the story or the plot or letting the pace drag. So in this case, this is a YA book that at the moment is called The 17, and we've got Zoe, who has just noticed some graffiti out the front of a church. So she stares at the notice board for a long time. "Hey, you there!" Her head snaps sideways in time to see an old man storming towards her. The priest? Minister? Clergyman? She's not sure what the correct term is, but the black robes and officious stare definitely mark him as a guy who belongs in front of a lectern. Pulpit? Zoe has instinctively turned and started walking again, because when something goes wrong in Colling, the nearest teenager typically gets the blame. But she's too slow. The guy has already reached the footpath, and there's no chance of pretending she hasn't noticed him. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here exactly. The black robes and officious stare, it's kind of, well, the black robes is what you'd expect from a priest anyway, so that's the bare minimum of detail that we want to give this dude. I'd like to, well, let's just experiment. The man has watery eyes. Maybe the man is about 50. Watery eyes and a horseshoe of greying hair around the back of his head. Now, I don't think I need to say he's 50 if I've already said that he has greying hair. I misspelt horseshoe there. There's watery eyes and a horseshoe of greying hair around the back of his head. Maybe instead of what he looks like, I could give him a bit of body language. So it's still, visual detail like what he looks like, but something more about his behavior than... So, instead of storming towards her, he could be marching towards her, kind of having a bit of a military bearing. And instead of watery eyes, he could be, he's blinking wildly. Hasn't seen the sun in years. A stoop, perhaps. Maybe he could have like liver spots on the top or something like that. I'm not picturing a real person, believe it or not. I very rarely am. In fact, actually, my best physical descriptions of people tend to actually come from real people. So, but I wouldn't want to be picturing a real priest that I actually know, or even a priest from a movie. I'd rather picture some different kind of person and then borrow their physical details and attributes to give to this guy. So yeah, the horseshoe of greying hair, the spots, does... Oh, skin on the top of his head is peeling. And he's blinking wildly as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. So we've got a little bit of body language with marching, a little bit of posture with stoop. We've described the kind of hair he has. We've described the skin on the top of his head. We've got the fact that he's peeling. The fact that the hair is greying means we've got his age. Okay, I think that's probably enough detail. Now it's about making sure that the details we've described them in the most economical or interesting way. So firstly, again, as soon as we discovered that this guy is a priest or a minister or a clergyman or something and has grey hair, we don't need to say he's old. But it's a bit boring to say her head snaps sideways in time to see a man marching towards her. So let's give the most obvious detail first. A man in black robes marching towards her. And then later we don't need to repeat black robes here. We can say that the outfit and the officious stare definitely mark him as someone who belongs in front of a lectern. Pulpit. The man has a stoop and a horseshoe of greying hair around the back of his head. The skin on the top of his head. See, I don't like the repetition of his head just there. So, actually, if we say just a horseshoe of greying hair, that'll do. If I said he has a stoop, fat, pink hands, it's like prink. Wow, spell check didn't mind the word prink. That's surprising to me. Maybe if it was later in the day and I was a little bit more awake, it's 6:25 a.m. right now, I would know what the word prink meant, but I do not. Has a stoop, fat, pink hands, and a horseshoe of greying hair. The skin on the top of his head is peeling and he's blinking wildly as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. Actually, can he be blinking wildly if he's also got an officious stare? I'm not sure you can have an officious stare and wild blinking. Maybe I can just say his eyes are watering, like we had before, as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. Okay, I'm going to read it again. Her head snaps sideways in time to see a man in black robes marching towards her. The priest, minister, clergyman, she's not sure what the correct term is, but the outfit and the officious stare definitely mark him as a guy who belongs in front of a lectern. Pulpit? The man has a stoop, fat, pink hands, and a horseshoe of greying hair. The skin on the top of his head is peeling, and his eyes are watering, as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. Oh man, I still don't like it. Skin is peeling, eyes are watering. I just don't like the repetition of ing there. To non-writers, that may sound like I'm being picky, but if you've been in this business for a while, it's not just that you don't like repeating words, you don't like repeating sentence structures, and you don't like even repeating sounds unintentionally. I also don't like he has a stoop, fat, comma, pink hands. I could say just he has a stoop, comma, fat, pink hands, comma, but I already know in advance that the proofreader is going to want to put a comma in there. It's a rule. You put the comma between the adjectives, but then that makes the sentence structure clunky. Okay, let's get rid of fat pink hands. The man has a stoop and a horseshoe of greying hair. So we'll say his hands are fat and pink. His hands are fat and pink hands. Yep, that's unnecessary. The skin on the top of his head is peeling and his eyes are watering, as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure what to do about this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give up. That may not sound like a very good message for would-be writers out there, but the point is this is a first draft. So usually when I get bogged down like this, when it's a single paragraph, I go, okay, I'll deal with it on the next run through. The issue is that I was hoping to submit this book this afternoon, and I'm only up to chapter 7. I've got 40 more chapters. So chapter 7 out of chapter 44. So I've got a lot of work to do. And this priest, spoiler warning, never shows up again. It's not that important what he looks like. I just want the reader. I just want him to feel real, to give him enough unexpected details that the world of the story isn't going to start to seem like a movie set, you know. But I do think that's about all the time I have for him. I'm going to read it. I'm happy with this bit. So the man has a stoop and a horseshoe of greying hair. His hands are fat and pink. The skin on the top of his head is peeling and his eyes are watering as though he hasn't seen the sun in years. I don't think the fat pink hands are necessary. I'll get rid of those and then I will move on to the rest of the scene because that's the best I can do in my first draft. Not very inspirational, is it? That's the reality of my job. I'm Jack Heath, author of, I don't know, where's one of my books? I'm really too busy to be making this video. Here you go. Kill Your Brother. That's a new one. I've got another one coming out soon. It's called Head Case. It comes out in November. Thanks for watching. See you next time.